Welcome to Powerfully Broken Podcast, where we break unhealthy relationships that negatively impact our mental health. Today we are talking with Diahnna Curtis, who is one of Akron's Realtors, the president of the Akron Realtors, and a realtor, a mother, and a wonderful human being overall.
Hey, a grandmother.
And a mom, and an amazing stepmom, and the best friend.
Powerfully broken but never defeated. Oh yeah. Barbara, bring the light.
What we ready now?
When the storm rolling and your spirit low, heart feel heavy and you moving slow, tears on your face but you hide.
Made an honor. I don't have pictures to prove it, but I swear she did all the work. Promise she did. When nobody was watching. So we talked a lot about being married, being divorced. Tell me a little bit about that journey for you. What made you think you even wanted to be a wife?
Well, first of all, let me say I missed the wedding. Remember, I had the dress and everything. My daughter went into labor. I'll never forgive her for that one, but I'm happy for my grandson. I had to hop on a flight. Oh my gosh. I think even as a kid, or, girls, I don't know, but probably like most little girls, you think you're going to grow up and get married and have a house and the white picket fence and the whole nine, right? So, I've been married twice, divorced twice. The first marriage was pretty early in my life. I think I wasn't even 21 when I got married. I was 20 because I couldn't buy alcohol. Like I'm married and I can't even buy a glass of wine to take home, right? So, I think it was the first person that really, what I thought was signs of affection and love were red flags. The jealousy. He was real cute. Everybody liked him. Basketball team, played basketball the whole nine. I had the guy, right? And so, and then he was jealous about who's looking at me or trying to talk to me. So I'm thinking, that's my person. It's not till after you get married that you find out that those were red flags. That you are, it's like, how much detail do I do? You're sitting in the car and you look over at the car that just pulled up next to you, just because you see something out of peripheral vision, right? And before you turn around, you're getting smacked in the face or backhand across the face, that kind of stuff. So then you start walking with your head down, not wanting to look up. To even people I knew in high school said, I saw you, but you always got your head down. You never walk. You learn to walk on eggshells. And before you know it, you are just someone you do not recognize. You don't know who you are. And I remember looking sitting in the living room, looking out the window, and I had my first daughter. By our first anniversary, probably about 2 weeks before our first anniversary, I had my first daughter. And so that during my pregnancy is when I started to see stuff was starting to go awry. Clocking what time I'm back, couldn't go, had an hour to go to the grocery store, don't be late coming back, that kind of stuff. And so, but I found myself looking out the window saying, is this supposed to be the rest of my life? Living in subsidized housing with someone who's not paying the $3 a month or $14 a month rent we had, and just doing their own thing. And I said, God, is this what it's supposed to be for me? And then I said, I just can't. I just cannot end up staying this way. So a second kid later, because by the time I really said I'm out, found myself, I was pregnant again, right? So I just came to the point where one of us had to leave because someone was it got so violent that someone wasn't going to survive it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want my two girls growing up in a household where their parents fought like that, or their mom fought, or they saw one of us cause serious harm to the other. Because it got to the point where I literally had to point a gun in his face to get him off of me from beating me in the head. So it was a rough time for me. And it was hard to come to terms with even my idea with God, that you got married, you weren't supposed to get divorced. Yeah. So now I got to get divorced, and that whole dream I had is just gone. It's shattered. So I had to say goodbye to the dream, goodbye to the relationship, and goodbye to a person that I looked in his eyes and watched him hit me repeatedly, and he didn't blink. So, yeah, it was tough. So out of that, I learned I was better off by myself, and I was scared because now I have two little ones, and how do I make that work? So I ended up with 3 jobs. A full-time job during the day, early in the morning at a check cash place. And I was still in school at Akron U. So I had a full-time job, and then I went and worked at Akron U in the call center for part-time. And then I got another job that audited files at night for the county, outside company they had hired. And so I worked for them until like after midnight. So when I dropped my girls off in the morning, they were in their pajamas. And when I picked them up, they were in their pajamas again. So my youngest daughter, I never saw her walk. I mean, I saw her walk, but I didn't see her first steps. Mm-hmm. The babysitter told me about it. And so literally one day I sat on the side of the bed getting ready to get them up. And I just sat there and I cried after months of doing that, or a year or so of doing that. And I said, this can't be our life again. So right. I said, you got to do something. So that was my reality, that you're going to have to go and get help, public assistance or something, so you can go back to school and figure out how you're going to make this work. Because this person
saying that was even a challenge for you, because you didn't believe at one point that was something you wanted to do.
I didn't. That's why it was so hard. And I sat there and cried about it because I didn't want to. My mom wouldn't do it. So I learned from her not to, rely on public assistance. But this person wasn't helping. And I didn't want to keep trying to make them, because that relationship was so volatile that any connection caused just fights and turmoil and the whole nine. So it was better off to keep the peace at home and be able to make things make sense at home, was to not bring in that chaos, because there was chaos of knocking on the door, or being, that kind of crap. So I went down there and I signed up, and then I went and signed up for classes. So you using it for a means to an end, that's great. But it was hard for me to even do it then. So
for you, was it like admitting defeat? I think for me, I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. Because I've worked since I was 14. So it was like,
this is not supposed to be my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm failing at this. I'm not doing well at it. Yeah. But when I realized I didn't see my daughter take her first steps, I'm like, you're missing their life. You're not raising them. Someone else is. You don't even see them all day until the weekend. And then you see them a part of that time. But all through the weekday, you're dropping them off, one in a car seat and one you carrying, and they're in their pajamas. And then you bringing them back and trying to get in the house with two in the middle of the night with the car light shining on so you can get in the house. And I was like, what are you doing?
So what was your step with going from working hard to working smarter?
it took me a while, because then I got married again, probably about 3-4 years later. And then I worked retail, and I managed retail. So then I found myself working, sun up, sundown again, because when the store is open, I was there. When the store closed, I was there. So an hour after. Holidays, totally missed Christmas, those holidays. And I did the same thing. At one time, Christmas was getting ready, or Thanksgiving was getting ready to roll around. And I said, here we go with these 60, 80-hour work weeks again. And I sat there and I cried. I said, you missed the whole holiday. So I said, something has to change again. And so I then started looking for a regular 9-to-5 job. And so the other thing about working the private sector is Ohio's an at-will state. Yeah. So then there's always this threat that you could potentially lose your job. There's no union. So I was used to that environment. So there was a lot of job changes, for one, because you want to find something better. There's no longevity, right, in many of those positions. But what happened is, probably years after I left retail, I went to another company and worked for them for 8 years. It was an abusive environment where the supervisor was calling people's names, yelling at people. I didn't experience too much of it until the tail end of it. Mm-hmm. And then I walked out, because I saw it as, this is abuse, the way that the employees are being taken. And then the next job I went to was in housing. And that was my first time finding out about Ohio is an at-will state. And I worked there for years. And, but I liked housing, and, I did well at it, that they gave me pay increases. And I knew that I'd earned. I knew that once they saw, the new regional manager saw what I was making, I was at the top of the ladder for that position. And I knew that was going to be a problem, because she had let everyone go on a previous property that she went to, and our property was second. And I said, she let everyone go and brought new people in. You bring them in for less money. Right. So, the first day she let my maintenance supervisor go. Then, she asked me for everyone's salary, and she said, and walked away. And I said, here we go. And she came back and she gave me a severance package. She said, we let your supervisor go yesterday. We didn't give him anything. We like you, but it's an at-will state, and we can let you go at any time. I said, okay. I needed to go because the hours, and it was a lot, but I was also working on some projects there for the community, for the people that lived there, because it was a subsidized property, and trying to fix it up. And I'd been working with the city of Akron, with the police department, and things like that to create a safer environment for the people that were there. But it was also becoming unsafe for me. Yeah. So, but I'm a little hard-headed when it comes to stuff like that, right? So I just, so it was a blessing that happened, because then it allowed me to move on. So I even went home and dropped to my knees, and I thanked God, and I was like, Lord, thank you. In the meantime, all of this, I've gotten divorced again. And bought a house on my own and the whole nine. And I was in that new house at this point. And I said, thank God that you released me from that. Something you've been telling me to leave, but I was being hard-headed. And so someone called me and said, are you okay? I mean, I can't. I said, I am fine. I am good. This was the best thing that could have happened for me. And then that tell you how crazy it was, that regional got fired shortly after. And I saw another one of what used to be one of my staff that was at that place said, you need to get your job back. And I said, God released me from there. So I'm not going back to where God released me from. Right. another life lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all these places and relationships that you have been in, going back to them when God has released you from them in the first place. So I'm learning that lesson in the process also. So that then took me to the county and then working going into real estate, because then I said, I can now control how much I make, because I had to take a pay cut for the next job. And so I said, I would like to do something where I can determine my pay a little bit more, and someone can't just come in and hand me a severance package, which is fine. I took it and was able to take a few months off from work. Yeah. But, so that brought me up to real estate. But in the meantime, you're going through all of that and you still have life. You still got 2 little girls. You still got a house that you now on the hook for and got to manage, and you're getting divorced the second time. And bought a house while I was getting divorced. So, that was a lot to take on, but hey, we had to go somewhere. We had to live somewhere. So we moved there.
This segment of the Powerfully Broken podcast is brought to you by A Powerful Divorce, the book by Barbara L. Parker. It's not just about endings. It's about rediscovering who you are, reclaiming your peace, and rising stronger than ever. Because you're not just surviving, you're becoming. And that's powerful. Follow at Queen BL Parker or at BF Empowerment. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe to Powerfully Broken Podcast. Now back to our program.
So one of the things about your journey that we talked about before was your girls. You had them in golf, tennis, cheer, I don't know, Build-A-Bear workshop. I don't know.
God.
You had them babies, and you, in addition to showing up and being present for your clients, you made sure that you never dropped them, that you were always present. You always got them to and from every single thing they was involved
I
in.
can't take it. I cannot with you. See, people know too much about your life. I kind of forgot about some of that stuff. Oh my gosh. I coached their Odyssey of the Mind, Destination Imagination teams. They did a lot of stuff. A lot of that was out of necessity. So what are they going to do over the summer while I'm working? These extra jobs. I still worked extra jobs periodically. Got it from my mom. That's how she did. She was a nurse, at the hospital, and then she worked weekends at someone's house or in the evenings at someone's house. So I learned it honestly. But it was golf. I would leave lunch in the summertime to drop them off at the golf course so they can take lessons. They were in the first tee program, and then pick them back up, sending them to summer camps. It was giving them stuff to do so they weren't sitting at home idle all the time. And thankfully, they liked doing a lot of that stuff. So one would play volleyball and basketball during the time. The other one was in theater. So I would find her community plays to be a part of, things like that, so that they always had activities. And their life stayed so full that they didn't miss, because I noticed when I was getting divorced the second time, when they were old enough to see it more so, I could see the stress and the worry of us moving into that house. And I actually had a talk with my oldest daughter and asked her what was going on. And she said, well, what's going to happen with us? And I told her, let me worry about that. I got us a house. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. You worry about the activities and the things you have to do, and you do you, and don't stress over adult stuff. I got this. So I just continued to try to keep them busy with doing stuff, so that it kept their minds occupied. So that was the goal. And I think they turned out to be good little girls. Yeah. So I think that's important, to keep the activities. So I forgot about all that stuff. They took singing lessons. Oh my Lord. Look, you do the same thing, mama.
Yeah. My third parent home is Uber.
We didn't have Uber.
I know.
So I had to drive them here and there. And I remember my youngest said, we ate McDonald's. And I think she said it one day and then she kind of realized, I said, you ate a lot of McDonald's because we going by the drive-thru and I'm throwing them in the back seat because we're on our way to basketball or volleyball. Yeah. And she said, oh, well, yeah, that's true. She had track practice. She was on the swim team. I mean, they did a lot of stuff. And I said, we made it fun because we collected the little toys and the Beanie Babies. And we still have a tote about this big, full of that stuff, that's unopened, that if one of them don't come get them, Goodwill gonna see it. No. I know, there's Beanie Babies, everything in there. But we made it fun too.
So you mentioned, doing a lot of the quick meals, and because you were in transition trying to get from one place to another, we have talked a lot about your green thumb. I'm still waiting on my garden to be put together. Just saying, I'm gonna leave that alone. Anyway, you are,
I need a garden.
You are phenomenal at managing your health in an organic way, growing your own vegetables and fruits and things of that nature. So I know you started with getting everything quick, but you still always on the go. So how do you have something that's nutritious that helps feed your body and not cause it harm? And what are some of the lessons that you've learned? Because I know, like you taught me, garlic is like an inflammatory, which we love.
Garlic is good for you. Garlic boosts your immune system. Mm-hmm. I have an autoimmune issue. Right. So for me, it can trigger a flare-up rather than help boost my immune system the wrong way. So, but garlic can be very good for you to take. I do a lot of research on the foods and the things that I eat. Even though we were doing the quick things when they were younger, I really wasn't eating that as much as it was to get them something to eat, because I'm leaving work and then running them somewhere to drop them off, and then I could go figure out something for me. But just eating green, that kale, things that are antioxidants. So I look at those things like blueberries. I stay away from a lot of carbs. I do a lot of seafood, or I've done a lot of salmon, but now I've kind of introduced chicken back in a little bit because salmon has a lot of fat to it. And so chicken could be a little leaner, or is leaner. And so just to break it up from always doing tuna, salmon, seafood. And I love seafood, so I can do lobster, crab, shrimp all day long. So, but a lot of it is the fresh vegetables, and it gets tough not having a garden. So, in the last few years, I've not had one, believe it or not. I know, but I still try to go to a fresh market somewhere and get fresh vegetables regularly. But those are the health issues. You'll feel better. I've gotten a lot this year into watermelon, because watermelon has it has electrolytes in it. It's hydrating. It's a lot of sugar in it, so you don't want to do too much of it. But I really believe that what you put in your body is going to help you feel better and do better. And with the autoimmune thing, it's a thing that also runs in my dad's family. I'm just now to this point in my life where I'm dealing with it, and some of my family members have dealt with it a lot earlier than I did. I was not aware until that it was so prevalent in my dad's family amongst the women. So I don't know if my eating helped with that, but I'm hoping to manage it and control it by continuing to eat better. And I cut out some things that I was doing in my diet. So, yeah.
Okay, so how hard was it for you? Because I've watched you do things like, even for your daughter's wedding, being at a destination wedding, but like having the presence of mind that I'm going to plan how I'm going to eat for the whole thing. So, okay, we're at an Airbnb. I can go and pre-order my groceries and make sure they're there by the time I get there.
And do that meal prep.
Right.
So I do a lot of meal prep. So in the weekends and stuff, I'll cook a lot of stuff. I've been grilling chicken because I watch even the seasonings I put on. So there's a lot of seasonings I can't use or I don't use. And I can't. I choose not to. Right. So I grill chicken, and then I can pre-package it in the freezer and stuff so that I have quick meals because I work late a lot, and then I can pull something out of the freezer and I have food. So meal prep is important. When I found out I had this issue, my oldest daughter, got a lot of my food. So no cans stuff. So I cleared all my cupboards out. I separated my seasonings. I looked up everything, right? Saw the effects that it has on your body, being an anti-inflammatory or antioxidant, and then, or causing inflammation. And so because you've been in my kitchen, the seasoning rack at the bottom has the seasoning that everybody can use. And the seasoning at the top is the stuff I know I could do. So I did that one weekend, so it's not that difficult for me to think about it. I know if it's on this top shelf, I can sprinkle it all over my food if I want to. And then the first few days, I was hungry, starving, because I didn't know everything I looked up I couldn't eat. Like my favorite pizza, can't eat it. Spaghetti, can't eat it, kind of thing, or shouldn't eat it. So one day it just dawned on me, probably about day 3 of sitting there hungry. I said, Google the stuff you can eat. And then all of this stuff came up. So I went to the grocery store, bought a lot of the stuff, and restocked the cupboards and cabinets with stuff that I know I can do. So that's how I did. So it makes it easier. I know if it's in the house, I can eat it. If it's not, I can't. So I just realized you don't always think of stuff. I've been wanting pancakes. I miss pancakes. Well, I can make pancakes with almond flour. So I have almond flour. I have a great recipe for it. So I'll be making fresh pancakes. I just haven't had the time the last couple of days to do it. But I promise Sunday morning I'm going to make myself pancakes that I've not had in a long time. So, yeah. With maple syrup, a little bit maple syrup, that's pretty healthy. I use honey to help sweeten stuff, and agave. So yeah.
Yeah, and all your food tastes good. Even though you eating healthy, making sure everything has the right components of macros and micronutrients,
Yes.
it tastes delicious.
Thank you.
You know, it's not like, oh, we got to go to Diahnna's house and eat this cardboard and pretend we like it. Like, we can't tell the difference between the stuff you would normally just prepare for yourself and the stuff that, you go to the bottom of the cabinet and get because it's all delicious.
Well, nobody wants to eat stuff without flavor and it doesn't taste well. So
I don't know, these cardboard makers.
Oh my gosh.
They everywhere.
I know.
Baby, I wish they would stop. I don't. There's more seasons.
I'll pull a lot of. Well, you guys have been pretty good because you guys have done stuff and cooked, and you recognize I couldn't do garlic and stuff like that, and then you'll make a little side something for me. So I appreciate that. So that was the other positive thing, having friends around you that were supportive of that kind of thing. So even now, making salad dressings and stuff, I do from scratch, and believe it or not, they actually are pretty good. So.
I'm sorry. I'm like, because I went from having all these parties and my relationship with food changed, and then, Becca got her protein allergy.
Mm-hmm.
Mary don't eat pork or
yes.
Then,
pasta salad with my pepperonis
right,
or turkey.
So I had all these, okay, Becca can eat this, Diahnna can eat this, and Mary can eat this. But now I stopped cooking because I'll spend $300 on food and I eat 2 bites and I'm like, she's still eating? She's still eating. He eating. It's like, I guess I'll have another sip of this. Right. It changed my entire relationship with food. Right. Like, it's not just for recreation and like bonding. It's like, okay, it now has to have value. Like, that's the thing I want.
I love food though. I love food. And there's some restaurants, and I did it recently. They had an honors the Ohio Black Women's Caucus gave me a women's award thing, or honored me along with a whole lot of other women. And I'm going to Luciano's and getting my mussels and my asparagus or artichoke hearts, and then we ended up going somewhere else. Really nice restaurant, wasn't there. We actually got there and somebody said, no, I want to go here, and we left. So I didn't get my dish, but I got something else there. I was up all night sick. And I swore the next day I was sick. I think I didn't eat for 2 days. And I said, I'll never do it again. I'll never eat something I'm not supposed to eat. And so probably 6 months later, I did it again. Going out to Cooper's Hawk. Mm-hmm. And I said, I gotta have my Brussels sprouts with the sauce and the seasoning. Yeah. And could be because I wasn't used to eating that stuff anymore. Yeah. And I ended up getting sick, not as bad as the first time. And I said, okay, then you need to go back to your regular regimen. Yeah. You feel better. You don't get sick from it. And just work on being healthy and getting the numbers down and everything. And so far, the last blood work and everything I had, everything was great. They're like, oh, your numbers are good. Kidneys, everything is fine. So I attribute that to eating healthy. I did do better about my water intake, but water just has no taste. But thanks to your ginger tea that I have drank, it is empty.
Yeah. So again, thank you for coming and talking with us about how to support our health, how to support our kids while balancing the need to provide for them, as well as taking care of our own emotional well-being and building a space that's safe for us to maintain our life in. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you just being so transparent and wanting to help everybody and just
absolutely. I'm happy to help anyone. I learned that I had to take some ownership in what was happening to me. So when I could sit there and say, I'm never going to let this happen again, I'll never get in an abusive relationship again, then I had to realize I allowed it in the first place. Because if I can say I'm not allowing it again, I have some power. So that was part of taking my power back. So if I can help someone else recognize they have the power to not allow it, then I'm happy to.
So if there is anyone in the Ohio area looking to purchase a home or get some good advocacy for financial guidance on that process, where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me at 330-715-5650. They can Google Diahnna Curtis. They can also find me through the Akron Realtors Association website. They can find other sales agents, lenders also there, and we can refer them to people also. And I know some great lenders out there that are willing to work with people because they're just as compassionate about minorities and home ownership as I am. So, yeah, be happy to help.
This episode is proudly sponsored by BF Empowerment Center, where healing isn't just possible, it's powerful. BF Empowerment Center helps individuals break barriers, build healthier relationships, and unlock their true potential for lasting transformation. Follow at Queen BL Parker or at BF Empowerment. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Powerfully Broken Podcast, airing every Friday at 9 a.m. Powerfully Broken empowers you to overcome unhealthy relationships that negatively impact your mental health.
Powerfully broken but never defeated.